Let me see the brand. AllBall TV.
They scared, but I'm not.
They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.
Oh, my bad. That was elongated. Hey, Fabian Perspective. Knicks Rehab. We in the building. Fabian Perspective expected so accepted. They don't like comentario y subscribe. You heard the beginning. You heard the intro. We in the building. AllBall. He just checked in and he checked that back out. I see you, AllBall. You ain't dipping on me. I'm here with a special guest. Of course, you know the renowned. Are we live?
Flea, I'm here. Let's go, y'all. What's good?
Flea's in the building. And we got a special guest following up what we did with shout out to Dime Dropper. We did with Dime Dropper. Mr. Sean. Can I say Barnard?
Yep, you got it.
Sean Barnard covering the 76ers. He's also on the Fox. I want to get the gambling thing right. Make sure we point people in the right direction. He's on Fox Sports, The Gambler, and Pick Swap Media.
You got it. Yep, it's the Philadelphia Fox Sports affiliate. So yeah, Fox Sports, The Gambler here, and then Pick Swap Media is my own little brand there.
But you see, he's not scared. He takes all the risks. He'll come on a Knicks Rehab channel, Knicks Rehab segment, and he'll break down the 76ers. I saw your tweets. Please, let's begin with this. Game 1. What's your reaction? What did you see? What did you like? What didn't you like?
Yeah, I mean, depending on some of the reactions from fans here, I would think you guys are already dead set going to the NBA Finals on some of these celebrations here. We're burning Joel Embiid jerseys. We're running victory laps. Boys, we still got a series to play here that obviously didn't love losing that one. That was a tough one. It was a winnable game by the Sixers perspective, I feel. But credit to the Knicks. It was a tough, hard-fought game, and frankly, that's how I expect every game to go this series. I still think we got a long way to go.
What do you think, Flea?
Man, I saw a lot of different things out there last night that I could feel encouraged about as a Knicks fan. Also some things that concern me, right? But to see guys burning Joel Embiid jerseys after game 1 is so typical Knicks fan. I'm a Knicks fan, but not like some of the crazies out there. Like, that was insane after game 1. Nonetheless, we are super enthusiastic about taking a 1-0 series lead in this best of 7. I thought we were great. With the fact that Brunson did not shoot the ball well. At some points, it even looked like almost a deer in the headlights, almost kind of thing. Like it was his first rodeo in the playoffs. So I don't expect that to go on because he has been in the playoffs. He has played in big games. This guy's been in the Western Conference Finals up against Steph Curry and the likes of Golden State Warriors. So I do expect him to bounce back from a tough shooting night. But we got a lot of great contributions from guys that have just been doing it all season long. Big shout out to Josh Hart. He had an amazing game. Hit some big threes down the clutch that I thought really tipped the scale for us in terms of winning that game. One of my favorite players right now, Deuce McBride, showed up in a big game, huge game for us. He was a plus 37 last night, highest plus minus in the game. Hit some big threes for us, just was super energetic, played great defense. I thought he was amazing for us in game 1. Our bench is really what came through for us to really close out that game. Big shout out to Mitchell Robinson, a plus 20 last night against y'all, just everywhere on the offensive glass. 7 offensive rebounds, I think, for Mitchell Robinson in game 1. Just really made things tough for Joel Embiid all over the place. Just to add several different extra possessions from Mitchell Robinson. I can't say enough about him. And Bogdanovich, great minutes from Bogdanovich. Hit some timely threes. He was a plus 27 last night. So, it was a big contribution from our bench. It's going to have to be like that for us going forward, even in this series. And if we do get an opportunity to advance, we're going to have to find scoring from somebody else from Jalen Brunson, except Jalen Brunson. So very encouraging win in game 1. Where we got to continue to play defense. I thought the tipping point for us was the rebounding edge, 55 to 33 on the glass. I think we cleaned up the glass really well. So, we just got to continue to build on this if we do want to get out of this series. So big shout out to the New York Knicks on that game 1 win.
Sean, listen, man, step right in. It's conversational, man.
Yeah.
I saw your tweets. I love what you were saying, heavily critical on the 76ers. You're not blinded by nothing. You didn't
Yeah.
like what Nick Nurse did with Tobias Harris out there at all. Like, please explain that. How would you improve or change whatever he did?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably the biggest change that I need to see made is that I get more mad at Nick Nurse in this specific situation because we just very clearly know who Tobias Harris is at this point in time. So I was very proud of Nick Nurse and very excited by him benching Tobias Harris in the closing time lineup during that Heat game in the play-in. And I thought that's what we were getting last night when it still was a fight, when it still was a dog fight, 2:18 left on the clock. Tobias Harris comes wandering right back in. And the play that I really thought turned the tides down the stretch was that open three-pointer that OG Anunoby knocked down, which was purely a blown assignment on Tobias Harris on where he was supposed to be in that defense. And beyond that, the rebounding struggles, which, Flea, I think you hit the nail on the head. That was the difference in this game, in my mind, was Mitchell Robinson attacking, Josh Hart attacking especially. A ton of those are still on Tobias Harris, that he isn't physical enough, he doesn't box out, and he doesn't have the athletic ability to just go up and get it in the way that a guy like Josh Hart does. So for my mind, that has to be the biggest change. I'm interested to see what Nick Nurse does in that direction. Frankly, my biggest argument, I want to see some of these Twin Towers, Paul Reed and Joel Embiid lineups, that let's go extra big there. Paul Reed is the best rebounder on this team. And especially with Joel, like in the second half, clearly not trusting the knee fully, that he wasn't even jumping. He wasn't even elevating on some of those. You can't really fault the guy. The fact that he was out there in general, I thought was incredibly impressive and frankly surprising. So you got to kind of work off that. And I get that these spacing issues aren't ideal with a guy like Paul Reed, but the fact that it was a 20 rebound deficit, that this Sixers team is allowing 23 offensive rebounds, you just can't win basketball games like that. So you got to eat into the Tobias Harris minutes. He doesn't provide enough offensively to make up for what he lacks with that athletic ability on the rebounding, on the defensive side of the ball. So I want to see more of the Paul Reed and Joel Embiid lineups, and also guys that are just smarter. Nico Batum is a dude that's always just going to be in the right spot, making the right plays. I get that he doesn't have necessarily the top-end talent of a guy like Tobias Harris, but every little margin matters, and a guy like Nico Batum not to make the simple mistake. So I definitely want to see Tobias Harris minutes cut into.
What do you think about that, Flea? Tobias Harris, and just did you see anything from the 76ers that you were surprised about, bad or good? Like, or did Sean cover everything? Because he's he's a very controlled, peeved fan right now.
Well, Sean is hitting a lot of nails on the head, man, in terms of, you got to go a different direction if Tobias Harris is not giving you everything that you would expect from him, right? I went on a brief rant a couple days ago on Knicks Rehab and concerns about why I am happy in the position of having Josh Hart over having Tobias Harris. And it showed in game one, right? All the intangibles that Josh Hart brings to the table, along with being able to hit timely shots and be confident in what he's doing. You see two completely different players when these guys match up, right? The way Tobias Harris crashes the offensive glass and the defensive glass, you can't get that from too many guys that are 6 feet and below. I mean, 6'6" and below, right? You don't get that from too many guys. So the way that I call it controlled aggression, right? The way that he attacks everything, man. Even those threes that he hit, he stepped right into those threes, right? Confident, shot it with confidence. Those were big shots. What was concerning for me is that we allowed Kyle Lowry to be a factor, right? Kyle Lowry, I think, was great in game one, had 18 points, hit some timely buckets to keep y'all in the game, right?
Yeah.
That's concerning for me. I don't want him to be a factor, right? I want us to be able to neutralize him and put him in positions where, he's not in a rhythm, right? He's an older player, 18th year in the league. If this guy gets into a rhythm, he's been in big moments. He's a championship guard, right? If he gets comfortable, he could change things in this series. I don't want him to see, the rim as an ocean, right? Yeah. See the rim as a thimble at this point. You know what I'm saying? So please, that's my concern. And you had big games from your two big guys, and Joel was fighting through injury, right? Maxey had 33 points last night, shot 14 of 26 from the field, right? So, he was comfortable last night. He looked good. Joel had 28 last night, right? If you get big nights from a Kelly, if Buddy Hield all of a sudden starts hitting shots, right? If something happens like that, I think that's where will pose challenges for the Knicks. So, those were my really concerns from what I saw from you guys.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. Tyrese Maxey scared the hell out of me. Joel Embiid scared the hell out of me. Like that Hartenstein, don't start Hartenstein, man. Stop playing around, Tibbs. And do not put, let me correct this. OG Anunoby, you ain't guarded 1 through 5 if Maxey's on that court. Get the hell off of him. You need to put him off ball when Maxey got the ball in his hands, or they're praying to a play to run for Maxey. And he needs to play off somebody else, especially the first 3 quarters. Mitchell Robinson got to start, man. Like that was a jump right in, Sean, if you disagree or agree. Mitchell Robinson has to start. I think he gives way more of a matchup problem longer for Embiid. He's there. He's your best rebounder, but we need Robinson in there to just disturb, like I said the other day, disturb and distract and cover Embiid better, because I didn't like what I saw. There was a lot of dominance I saw with Embiid. There was a lot of November, December 76ers that I was disgusted with seeing and resurfacing. I don't want to see that, because this thing is the thing about teams. It's one thing if you're good, is another thing if you have greatness. And I guess we could jump to the Joel Embiid thing now. I love what you said here, Sean, in your tweet. Real quick, let me pull this up. Truly robbing us from one of the greatest players to ever touch the floor, from the highest of the highs to the lowest of the lows in a span of 0.3 seconds. Praise up to Joel, man. Just the way he threw the ball off the backboard, caught it, and
which was an amazing play, by the way. You
Ridiculous.
Don't see 7 foot, plus guys get in that position, throw it off the glass, and finish clean. Yeah. I saw that and I was like, oh my God.
And what made it even worse for me, Sean? I'm sorry. What made it even worse? What the hell I've been bragging about the last 3 days since when we first linked up before the pregame? Mitchell Robinson, OG Anunoby. He dunked on both of them.
Yeah. And it does feel like there's no clearer play that just encapsulates the Joel Embiid experience than that right there. Like pulling off a play that truly maybe 5 guys in the entire world are capable of, slamming it on, finishing it, and then coming down only to go right down on that knee and right down to holding things. It's the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. And on an individual standpoint, I just feel bad for the dude, man. He tries, he competes, he works through it, he fights through pain, and it's just his body fails him all too often. And unfortunately, I think we're in the process of it. That initially I entered this series saying I think that he'll look better as the playoffs progress, that he'll get more comfortable on the knee. He'll begin to figure out how to manage it, trust it a little more. I don't really think that's the case anymore. That I think there's no world where this gets better. The reality is it is what it is. It seems like the knee or the brace did mostly its job, but there's no structural damage there. But it's definitely not the stablest ligament that he's working with or stablest knee that he has. So it's super frustrating. I feel bad for the guy because, again, he's worked so hard just to even get back on the floor this season, and in the midst of a truly potentially historic career that who knows how much longer this goes on for. So I hate that he's dealing with it. I want nothing more than just to see a healthy playoff run from him. But the reality is we just may never get that.
What you think, Flea?
Oh, man. I mean, valiant effort. I want to say that first for understanding the moment, understanding this is a playoff series, understanding that every game matters. And so when he went down and they panned the camera to his face, and you kind of saw almost his eyes roll back in behind his, that look of defeat, that look of understanding that, man, something might be wrong right now. Only to see him come back in the game, I do want to give kudos to Joel Embiid because, you really toughed that out. In a regular season game, we might have not saw him for the rest of that game. So he understood the moment and understood that, the team needed him, his teammates needed him, the organization on trying to, make a mark in this playoff series. But I do think that is what I said back when we had our original conversation going into this series, is that we needed to make him play tough. We needed to make him make a lot of decisions. We needed to make him overexert himself on defense. We need just go at him, make him play, because the harder he's not going to dog it. He's one of those guys that's going to play hard, play 100%, go at this. And when he does not, his body is not 100%. So at some point, things are going to break down. At some point, you're not going to get that 100% Joel Embiid that you guys are expecting from him. And so I think that that's what happened in game one. Mitchell Robinson made him exert a lot of energy on that rebounding glass. Like he made him play. And so as a result, you get him doing some things that, like Sean said, only 5 guys in the world could probably pull that off in that situation. He is one of those guys, but those lower extremities are not at 100%. And so I think the best strategy for us, especially going into game 2, I think we could segue into that. Going into game 2, if he is out there on the court, we have to continue to play Mitchell Robinson high minutes. Mitch played 30 minutes the other night. 30 minutes. I think Hartenstein played about 18 minutes. So, I think we need to continue to roll with high minutes for Mitchell Robinson and make him get Joel Embiid to play at a high level and overexert some energy.
And
I
it's
don't
hard.
wanna... Go ahead,
like
Sean.
I always feel like Joel gets himself in these like catch-22 or double-edged sword situations that, like, from the Philadelphia side, he's catching heat right now that, like, when your knee's not that great, like, why are you trying wild stuff like that? And I hear you, but then the other end of that is like, if he's not trying his hardest, then it's like, well, what's the point of him being on the court if he can't play up to 100%? So I respect that he's going for it. I respect that he's basically given everything he possibly has out there. And the reality is that this Sixers team is still significantly better with whatever version of Joel Embiid is on the floor. That even last night, they were a plus 14 when he was on the floor and a minus 21 when he wasn't. That the impact of him being there changes everything. And I'm curious your guys' mindset. I know you mentioned the matchups. I totally agree that, like, Mitchell Robinson, a clear better matchup than Isaiah Hartenstein in this. You guys also threw way more just one-on-one straight up coverage on him than traditionally he sees. That I think a lot of times teams force him to be a passer, and he's taken a significant stride forward this year and being able to pick opponents apart. Even last night, he had a couple slick dimes. That full court one to Kelly Oubre was
Amazing.
One of the best passes of his career.
Oh my God.
So curious what you guys think. Like, do you think that's something you guys transition into throwing more doubles at him, or is it just leave Mitchell Robinson alone and see what happens?
What do you think, Flea?
I mean, I think first of all, let's not underestimate who Joel Embiid is. I think he makes adjustments. I think he's a guy that's going back and watched some film and saw some spots that he could have been better at in game 1. So I know that he's going to come, if he does play, I know that he's going to come with a different approach and probably be a little more aggressive. He did shoot about 22 shots, didn't he not? Maybe 28 shots. He shot. He didn't shoot well from the field in game 1. And, those man-to-man coverages, I think Tibbs is gonna stick to those, right? We had some success with just playing him straight up with Mitchell Robinson. I think Mitchell Robinson is gonna be the key going forward in this series. We might not see much of Isaiah Hartenstein, and that just is because what the series looks like, what it currently is asking for from our team. So if Tibbs continues to just throw Mitch at him, but we do have to understand who Joel Embiid is. And if we do need to bring doubles, if we do need, to get the ball out of his hands, I think we're capable of making those adjustments. We do have the defenders to throw at him, especially being able to double from a Josh Hart, being able to double from an OG, being able to double from some of those guys that are capable. And, we haven't even seen Precious yet. Right. Yeah. We haven't even seen what role he's gonna play in this series. So, we have bodies. We do have the bodies, and if we do need to resort to those, I think we'd be able to make the adjustment.
I was surprised by no Precious, by the way.
That's the guy I want to see in game 2 before we segue to that. But that goes back to your point. Achua got to be out there for these rotations. You cannot allow Embiid to go do what he wants to do again. Give him time to just see and think. He's already felt all the pressure. And the one thing I've always loved about Joel Embiid, and you could go to this, Sean, I think he learned with the Ben Simmons situation. He's under Doc Rivers. When he came out, I've always loved the fact that he is a wrestler. This guy is with the same ilk, The Rock, the Macho Man, John Cena, all these guys. Even when he cries, whatever it is, he came out kind of with Ben Simmons. Maybe I don't say misspoke, but he spoke his truth. And with that being said, he never really ran from the truth, in my opinion. The truth has always been, at this time of the year, he breaks down. And for him to come out and show an effort like that in the face of load management in the face of the New York Knicks, who play 45 minutes a game for a lot of these guys. No, as a fan, I understand the frustration, but the fact that he threw the ball off the backboard and yammed it like that, I was like, oh my God. And I'm at a wedding yesterday trying to watch the game, watching the game under the table. I'm like, want to flip the table over. Then when he got hurt, I'm like, oh damn, that sucks. But if I'm a fan, I'm going crazy. Because as much as we want to make this, Daryl Morey's your guy. He's the leader of the president of basketball operations there in Philadelphia. As much as we want to make it X's and O's and numbers, at the end of the day, the human trait of just that's your guy that you're going, he's going all out, bleeding from his kneecap like that. What the hell do they shoot him with? They shot him with something at halftime. Come on, and I ain't mad at him. Take all whatever it is. I don't want to accuse you of nothing. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything. But let my guy take a shot and go back out there and be a warrior. There's anybody who has any criticism of it in 2020 hindsight at this point in time when Monday morning quarterback in a situation like that? Hell no, man. We're talking about an MVP. MVP. Yeah. Not the 12th guy on the bench going crazy. And I think he's a dirty player and everything. But that's the guy you want on your team. Period. He's trying to win. We see it with Draymond, that big scammer himself. Embiid is out there, fully talented, big-time MVP. And like I said, he scared the hell out of me. Everything I said the day before was true. We're going to throw these bodies at him. We need to throw way better coverages at him. Put a true out there because he can rotate. I'm glad you picked up on that because we're segueing to game number 2. I briefed it earlier. I don't want to see OG Anunoby chasing around Tyrese Maxey around a bunch of picks, and then you have Embiid spotting up wherever he's going to be. No, for 3 quarters, that made no sense. Were you surprised that OG started on Maxey, Sean?
I was. I was more of the mindset that you guys were entering this game, that I thought we were going to see OG Anunoby on Joel Embiid as the primary matchup, and Joel has struggled with defenders like that, guys that are prepared to front him, prepared to make him work, rather than a more traditional matchup with a big man like Mitchell Robinson. So that was my expectation going on. I more thought it was going to be Josh Hart getting the Tyrese Maxey duties was my guess going in, and I know we discussed beforehand, and I think you guys saw it on full display, that there's an extra gear that Tyrese Maxey has that truly, maybe De'Aaron Fox is the only other player in the NBA that can get there. That some of these like cuts through the lane, the Euro steps, it was really impressive, super mature stuff. And it's been like tough to put all these expectations on him because he's just been so far ahead of his developmental arc since the second that he got to Philadelphia. Like the dude's still 23 years old. And I still like look forward to when he's going to be 27 or truly hitting his prime, that this dude is special. But the reality is he's expected to be number 2 right now. And this also feeds into my like Tobias Harris kind of critiques here is there's no reason when Tyrese Maxey's on the floor why we're running pick and roll sets with Tobias Harris as the ball handler. There's just no reason why that is any part more just better for the Sixers team. So I don't understand the blind loyalty to Tobias with that type of thing. And Maxey's proven that he's ready for the moment. So as much as he still shined, had 33 points, got to his spots, I want more of that let this guy be in attack mode from start to finish. And I think, frankly, like he's capable of it. We've seen him score 50 points 3 times this year. So let him unleash even more. I want to see moving forward.
Damn, 3 times.
Yeah,
Fleet, were you surprised of OG on Maxey, and what do you expect going into game 2?
I didn't think that Tibbs had as much confidence in Mitchell being in shape enough to do the job that he did, right? Like that confidence that he infuses in Mitch is underrated. I don't think it's spoken about enough. Is how much Tom Thibodeau is confident in Mitch's ability to be an all-world defender, right? Like at one point, Thibodeau was trying to groom Mitch into being like a Joakim Noah type defender, right? And I think he's still molding into one of those better, all-world defenders in the league. He hasn't gotten there yet, but I still think he's taking strides there. But was I surprised to see OG on Maxey? I don't think I would say surprised. I think that's a matchup that OG is capable of handling. I did expect to see more of Hart, who I thought did a pretty damn good job. And, I know that I'm like the spokesperson of his fan club right now, but Deuce McBride did a damn good job on him in game one. The possessions that he had on Maxey, he did make them tough because Deuce is strong. He is pretty quick, right? So I think the strategy is to continue to put bigger bodies on Maxey, but if there is somebody out there that is going to be pesky, that it is going to continue to be, meet him at the spots that he's trying to get to because Maxey is so quick, you can put Deuce out there because he has those youthful legs, man. I was extremely impressed with what Deuce McBride brought to the game on both ends of the floor. So yeah, I'm not surprised on OG starting on Maxey, but again, we got to continue to throw different looks at him because we do have the defenders. Let's not even forget DiVincenzo is no slouch on the defensive end as well, so we can throw that body at him as well. So we can mix this thing up. There's plenty of adjustments that Tibbs can make on the defensive end. I think that we will be fine on the offensive end. Again, when Brunson shows up, this is going to be a different party, right? And he struggled yesterday in terms of efficiency. He had a pretty decent game, but once that guy starts hitting shots at the clip that we're used to him, this is going to be a good party.
I don't know about starting Deuce because you don't want to mess with the lineup like that, mess with anybody's head, but Deuce, OG, Mitch, that's what I've been wanting to see on a rotation. He's the guy, like you said, can stay in front of Maxey if we're going to slow that down, because I'd rather just Maxey go for 60 or Embiid go for 60, because then it slows down Tobias Harris and all these guys are going to be, they're going to be left with grenades. No, go for 60. I dare you. Shoot 30 shots. Like you said, Embiid did shoot 8 for 22, but it was 2 of 11 in the second half. I think that first half was crazy, bro.
Yeah.
And even with Maxey, it was just insane. He played 42 minutes. It did not feel like he played 42 minutes. It looked like he was lightning quick. I didn't see him tired. He's playing like 23 years old?
23,
Yep.
That kid, he's playing like a kid. Respect to Deuce McBride, to Tyrese Maxey. I think Deuce being on him is a must. And even the counter to that, DiVincenzo is streaky. I know he gets the spotlight. He shot that many 3-pointers and everything, but me and Flea always talk about this, Sean. And I don't know who was like this for you guys. Deuce McBride, when you have a form like that, to shoot every shot like that, where you have Oubre extending 7-foot wingspan, and he still can't deter it. Listen, man, give me Deuce more minutes out there, along with Mitch and along with OG. That plus minus, Flea, Sean. Our entire bench was in the positive. The whole starting lineup was in the negative.
Think about this for a second, guys, and I want to just give it off to Sean. Think about this for 1 second. They were okay with packaging RJ quickly and got Grimes out of there and gave an extension to Deuce McBride. Think about that for a second. There's got to be some confidence in what this guy is able to bring to the table, and it's showing, right? He's shown up since the trade deadline, since we've made those moves. He's been amazing for the second half of the season, and he's been amazing thus far in the playoffs. He must have been giving those guys hell in practice for them to be okay with giving him an extension and getting rid of 3 guards and being okay with having him going forward. So I just wanted to put that out there. But Sean, what are you seeing going forward in game 2? What are you seeing and predicting from Joel? Is he going to play? What are your thoughts on going forward in the next matchup?
Yeah, I mean, officially listed as questionable, and I kind of expect that to just be the route game in and game out from here. I think ultimately he does play. That the way he's carrying himself, the way that all the responses seem to be, is that he's going to give everything that he's got, and we'll see how much that truly is left in the tank. I'm still overly taking it as a positive for how the Sixers played last night, that I think there's a lot of positives to build off. The Brunson stuff, I agree, he will absolutely get going more than he did last night. But I think the Sixers deserve a ton of credit for the way they defended them. That Kelly Oubre dug in, did a great job. They had a couple blocks from behind. Tyrese Maxey got him twice, and I think that was intentional and a part of the plan to really make him think. You know how Brunson loves to kind of snake his way and keep a guy on his back. It felt like the Sixers used that to their advantage, to where they more or less had a guy coming up and a guy still on his back and kind of trapped him in a different way that I've really seen. So I give the Sixers a ton of credit for that. I think that continues to the focus. And Deuce McBride, I do think is really the X factor. That I think if he can have games like he did last time throughout, it's going to be a problem for the Sixers. I expect them to lean in even more to forcing the ball out of Brunson's hand in a way that they didn't fully embrace last night. So I think the internal fixes, Sixers-wise, you need something out of the bench. That Buddy Hield was a nothing last night. He didn't find any real chance to get going. I even wouldn't mind staggering things to where you bring Oubre off the bench, so there is that kind of pop if you want to go with Batum and Tobias as the starters. Honestly, I would love to go Batum and Oubre as the starters, but I don't fully expect the Sixers to do that. There's just this blind loyalty to Tobias Harris for the amount of time he's been here. I think that there is a real world where that's the best route for this Sixers team, where give him a bench unit where he's got an opportunity to come in and impact the game. I don't expect that to happen, but the bottom line is they have to find ways to get something done when Joel Embiid's not on the floor. Everything falls apart when that is the case. So I need something out of Buddy Hield as kind of the X factor that I am taking. And by the way, you mentioned Kyle Lowry. The dude has way more left in the tank than I expected. But I think this is legit. This is here to stay for this playoff run. That was the most minutes he's ever logged in a Sixers uniform last night. And I think that you can clearly see the trust between Nick Nurse and Lowry. So I think he's going to be running a ton of plays down the stretch as well.
You think I think Kyle Lowry had his I don't see another game like this for him for the rest of the series. I think that, Brunson had a bad game. I'm okay with Brunson having a game like this if the other guys are going to step up, because it's always a rotation of who's going to be the second guy, second, third, fourth guy with the Knicks. I don't know if you guys are comfortable with that, with Kyle Lowry all of a sudden there's no way I'm relying on Kyle Lowry from the 76ers. And if that's the case, I'm tip my cap and we'll get it going. Because if we're relying on Kyle Lowry to get another 18 points, no problem, bro. I just can't see it. I think Josh Hart was doing Josh Hart things.
He's also not hitting those 3-pointers that he did late in that game ever again in this series.
He might not. He might not. And he specifically spoke to that. He shouted out JJ Redick in the post game. He said he worked on that all week because people were just sagging off of him during the end of the season. So he was focused on that. But not relying on Josh Hart in terms of shooting, no way, Sean. I think the only thing you can rely on with Kyle Lowry is leadership and experience, as opposed to Josh Hart. Bro, that's Josh Hart. He's giving you a 20 rebound game. I'm not gonna be surprised by that. That's our guy. Kyle Lowry, I'm surprised about any how you say production that he has, in my opinion. There's just no Tobias Harris and everybody else that falters. I'm just expecting that from you guys. I'm trying to think who's gonna step up besides Kyle Lowry. Do you have the second, 3, 4, 5, 5th guy that's gonna step up that you're not surprised by?
Yeah, I mean, from a pure stats and the scoring impact standpoint, there will be a Kelly Oubre game in this series where he scores his 25 points and impacts it. We've seen it throughout the season that he's been one of these more variable players, but he absolutely has those games. And specifically the first half last night, I really don't think he was involved offensively like at all. And a lot of that, he was carrying quite the load defensively, being Brunson's primary point of attack defender. So I'm not going to be too hard on him about it. But I do think as things progress, that he's going to become a more necessary part of this offensive game plan. And I do think he will step up and deliver. That there's been kind of in not quite the same way as Josh Hart, but there's a similar like hungriness and kind of dog mentality that Oubre brings, that he will let you know about it. He will flex. He will get up and do these things. And he's endeared himself to the Philadelphia fans quite a bit. So I think there will be a couple games where Oubre definitely steps up. And as much as I'm ragging on Tobias Harris, there will be a game or two where he fills up the stat sheet, brings his 20 points in a way that the Sixers do need. So I get not fully going away from him because they still need a guy with his skill set. I mean, he's been a 15-plus point per game scorer for the length of his career. And again, didn't have a good game last night. And I'm more frustrated with the rebounding effort and the defensive lapses that he did have, which are still concerns. But from a scoring standpoint, there will be a moment where he steps up when they need him. So there are options. Things still run through Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I would like to get a little two-man action between them. It felt like a lot of the production for both of them were individualized, where it was either Embiid dropping in the post, taking a guy, going one-on-one, and of course the production was still there, so I'm not mad about it. But the same to Tyrese, that it was a lot more of him driving through the lane or him getting to his little step backs and those opportunities. Let's get both of them involved. Let's make the Mitchell Robinson or whoever that they have defending these guys really think about, are we switching here? Let's run some dribble handoffs, run some pick and roll sets. Let's just get a little bit more motion in this offense at all. because it did feel like at times the Sixers were a little stagnant last night. So I think that some of that's a Nick Nurse adjustment. Some of that is each guy's finding their role within the team. But to purely answer that, I think Kelly Oubre is going to be the guy that outplays how he did last night moving forward.
Fully, like, you could jump in here too, but Sean, do you really expect there more of a two-man game than what you're saying? Is that what's expected before Joel Embiid got hurt? I don't. The dribble handoff I expect. That's what I saw again early on in the season. But do you expect this to change? Because he's limping at best. He's limping out there, and we could all right dribble handoff all you want. You better hand that off, Joel. What are you gonna do with that after you don't hand it off?
Yeah, it's disappointing because the two-man game between Maxey and Embiid was awesome through the first part of the year before Embiid got hurt. And I spoke about like why I thought Maxey is the best equipped as the secondary star to Joel. That if you flash back to last year's postseason with James Harden, that like the efficiency numbers were off the charts, but it just became so predictable that every team knew exactly what they're going to on every step.
That pocket pass. He took too long to. Yeah.
Exactly. Like with Maxey, there is this refreshing randomness where you don't quite know what he's going to do. He's so just quick twitch, the way that he's bouncing and flying all over the place. So I would like them to lean back towards that. Just get both these guys involved. It doesn't have to be complicated stuff. Like I said, the dribble handoffs, it can be little give and go passes, him running off a guy. Stuff like that is things that just make defenses think in a way that I would like this Knicks defense to be forced to do. So I do expect more of that. I think as a whole, just a little more team-oriented play. And Nico Batum's a guy who I don't expect to shine in the stat sheets really ever. I mean, he had his game in the play-in where he scored his 20 points and saved the world in a way that the team needed. But in reality, he's the guy that in a lot of times is like more or less the point guard in a half-court setting, that they do allow Maxey to work off ball. They do run sets for him, run screens off ball, that it's Batum being the decision maker for making those things. So I don't think he really settled into that role at all last night. That's something that I would like to see moving forward as well.
Flea, you scared of this dribble handoff action in game 2?
I mean, no, I'm not pretty concerned about it. I am more concerned about the Knicks shooting a sub 40%.
Yeah.
Right? Like we cleaned the glass really well, but if you look, we didn't shoot the ball well from the field. We shot about 38, 39%. We're not going to win a lot of games shooting sub 40%. Against a team that still has Joel Embiid, whether he's fully healthy or not. We're gonna have to hit shots. We're just gonna have to hit shots. We did shoot about close to 46% from three, which is why we were able to win that game. The 3-point disparity and the rebound disparity is really where we were able to be victors. But I'm very concerned about us being able to hit shots. And just continue to defend at a high level. We have to understand that some other guys are going to show up. There are going to be guys that are going to get hot in certain series. When we get back home, like we always say, role players play well at home during the playoffs, especially, right? There's that freeness. There's that, a little more comfortable. I've been in this series now for about 2 games. Now we're taking it back to the crib. The lights are not as bright, right? So I do expect Tobias Harris to play better, once we get to game 3. I do expect Kelly Oubre to play better and hit bigger shots, right? Batum is going to be a factor. So all of these things, what I'm saying, we need to be prepared. Right, we need to be prepared, and we have to shoot better from the field. We got to hit shots. Have to.
And either one of you guys can jump on this. What do you think we didn't do? Did we just simply miss shots, or because for me, I think Brunson didn't kick out of the double team fast enough, and I think again not working on the off ball, and that has to be worked out in the off season. But I don't know if we kicked out of the double team fast enough, and we were too reliant and stagnant, in my opinion, for the first half. And it took us a while to just the second chance shots. But was there anything you were surprised about, aside from just missing shots? Did we not do what we usually do, Flea and then Sean?
Well, I look at it like this, man. If I'm being honest about our team, we lack creators. We have one creator. We have one genuine bona fide guy that can create shots for himself and create shots for others, right? And so when you do minimize that, when you do defend him well, because I thought Philly defended him well, and like to the point that you're saying, Fabian, he didn't get rid of the ball quick enough, right? If you look, Jalen Brunson dribbled the ball the most in the NBA this season. He has the most dribbles this season. So he pounds the rock, Let's just call it what it is. He pounds the rock. So, and that's not surprising because we don't have a ton of offensive weapons that, yeah, I could kick it to him and he can create his own thing, right? So that's going to be challenging, for the remainder of the playoffs for us. When he is put in situations where he has those longer defenders, when they do blitz the pick and roll, when they do blitz those dribble handoffs, who is going to be the other person that he can get it to and they can put it on the floor and get busy? We don't have that, right? That's where we miss Julius Randle, right? That's where we really, really, truly miss that secondary scorer that could go get me 25 every night if I ask him to. So it's a big ask from the rest of our team. But again, it is the playoffs. Stars are born in the playoffs. Guys get paid off of their, things that they do in the playoffs. And I do fully expect us to have a different guy each night step up and really shine for us to get through this series.
Yeah, overall,
you thought that was what you expected or was a little surprising?
Yeah, overall, I mean, the Sixers executed the game plan as far as Brunson goes, like, very well. To be honest, I expected him to be even a little bit less of a factor than he was. And I don't mean that from an efficiency standpoint. I thought the plan of attack was going to be full out, get the ball out of his hands, because that is the biggest reason of optimism for me with the Sixers team in the series, is that he is the only creator. That it's probably Deuce McBride is the next best option as far as creating for himself and others. But if the game turns into having guys like Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart and OG having to make decisions as a passer, I feel pretty good about how things stack up for the Sixers team. And we've seen flashes. There's been so much in and out with the lineups, but we've seen flashes where this defensive system under Nick Nurse works, where guys are cycling, guys are rotating, and that when you're forcing decisions to be made with bodies flying at you, with rotations happening, turnovers can get created. The Sixers were still among the top teams in turnovers forced from start to finish that season, and that goes with all the in and outs of the lineups and not having the anchor of Joel behind them for most of this year. So I think I expect a little more of that. But from the Knicks side of things, I think I was a bit surprised, particularly in that first quarter, like how much clearer the Sixers game plan looked than the Knicks. That it felt like the Knicks were the reactionary team there. The Sixers had imposed themselves to start that game. I was like a 12-point lead pretty early in that first quarter. And the Knicks, obviously, to their credit, responded, dug themselves out to that, and found a way to the victory. But I was surprised a bit how clear that was, that it looked like the Sixers had their set plan, they're imposing themselves, and the Knicks are kind of the team on the ropes figuring out how to fight back right now. I don't know if I expect that moving forward, that I do think that there will be a cleaner, just tap gloves and square up from the start than occurred last night.
Yeah, I want, like I said, I mentioned it earlier, that's why Mitchell Robinson and Deuce more minutes with them, especially the sooner the better. I believe that's why the lead, because to give up that many points to me was the problem. On offense, we're always going to be a team to figure out what to do on offense. It just is what, especially with what you said. He's our clear-cut only creator, 1A at this point. But if you double him up, that's any team. Once you throw a double team at him and trap him, all right, see what the rest of you guys can do. Before we go, Sean, I want to know if do you expect more of this to take place? These guys just in 76ers jersey pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah, that is
in the
wild.
crowd with the set with the Knicks. What is going on here?
Sean,
that's not really like.
Sean, what's going on right here, Sean? What?
Yeah, I got nothing. I got no excuse for this guy. I get him out of there. Get the jersey off him. That's like a cardinal sin right there. So I don't know how that even happened. How that progression led to him even being in that situation. How do you find yourself in the mob of Knicks fans celebrating this in the first place? So yeah, that can't happen ever again.
Sean, can he go to Geno's? Can he go to Max's anymore? Can he come back to South Street? Is he allowed back?
No, the card to the city has been revoked from that man, whoever he is there. And honestly, my guess is that is not a true Philly fan or Philly guy whatsoever. That is probably somebody who just popped into the game, had a friend had an extra ticket, thought, I would rather the Sixers, than got swept up in the moment. But embarrassing stuff regardless.
Oh man, we got to get him out of here.
I truly appreciate you coming into enemy territory, Sean. I want to get into these comments. You can stick around if you want, Sean Flea. I just want to go from the top and see, we show some love back to our people over here who are going.
Yeah,
bananas.
I'll be here. We always appreciate you, Sean. Thanks so much, as always, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll hang around if you guys want me to stick out through the end here.
Yeah.
Got you. A lot of Knicks in 5. And that's the thing. Knicks, see, the clean sweep, when I'm saying that, I think once you hear that bold take, it sounds like, 4-0 does not mean 125 to 96. You
Sure.
can see how this thing is going to roll out. The MVP is hobbling.
Yeah.
We've seen this movie before too many times. It's going to be tough for him to play 4 games. That's like, I feel I'd rather be him be 100% healthy, man. And we win like that. And I don't think I wouldn't have been no clean sweep with a healthy Joel Embiid. No way possible. No way possible. He takes the gamma juice or whatever the Incredible Hulk took in the comic books. I don't think it's going to just be 4 games. Nah, it would have been tough, man. Would have been tough.
Yeah, and they got to respond tomorrow. They're going down 2-0. Then all of a sudden, we got some real deal issues for the Sixers team in the series. But I still haven't moved off my Sixers in 6 prediction. I'm not shocked that Knicks took game 1. I think when the flow of the game, I said while watching that to me, it did turn into a must win. The fact that they did grab control, the fact that they were in the driver's seat for getting the victory, that all of a sudden I was locked in. Okay, now you got to find a way to get this one because it's there for the taking. Disappointed that it didn't happen, but if they can split 1-1 up in New York, I'm okay with that for the series as a whole.
But see, if we go 2-0, we're supposed to go up 2-0. These are at home. The only way I'm concerned if I'm you is if you lose the game at home.
Sure. Yeah, they say the series doesn't start until the road team wins a game. So still a lot of ball left to play. That one was emotionally tough last night because it was there for the taking. But in reality, like losing game 1 in New York with Embiid in a game where he got injured or re-injured that knee or however you want to word it, like in reality, not the end of the world situation from a Philadelphia perspective.
You can see here, Beeman Boy 81. If you were born in 81, you are a peer. We was extra, but that's how the city gives it up. That is correct.
That is correct, man.
Big Sean is no Diddy. Big Sean, his East Coast. He ain't worried about none of this. You see how he ousted that guy in the crowd fleet. That guy's not allowed in Philadelphia.
He's not allowed back. Sean said he's not allowed back.
I hope somebody figures out who that is. So that's a public clowning situation right there. That should be.
The deuce was loose.
Sean stepping into orange and blue territory. Correct. Offensive boards. Yeah, the offensive game. I mean, 23 offensive rebounds to 24 defensive rebounds in general to the 76ers. Mm-hmm. That means there was 47 available, and we got almost half of them. And Embiid didn't even get 10 rebounds. Again, that's what I've been. Oh, hold on a second. I don't know if you talked about Paul Reed enough. Around these parts, we've dubbed him Paul Rudd. Paul Reed, aka Paul Rudd, the real Ant-Man, the real life Ant-Man. Shout out to AllBall. What's going on with him? Do you believe in the Twin Tower thing?
It has to. Like, it's the best chance. We haven't seen a ton of it this year, only a couple short doses. This was something going into the season that Nick Nurse talked about quite a bit. From like a mindset standpoint, I love it because Paul Reed's like a dirty work guy that he wants to get in there. He wants to scrap for rebounds. He wants to do all that. And that's not Joel Embiid. That Joel is the scorer, the face-up guy, the guy that wants to get into his dribble bag and play make for others and run an offense. So I like the pairing there. And particularly, like, we see how many long-range and mid-range jumpers that Joel settles for. When you think about the construct of an offense, like, Joel would be the best option for a guy fighting for offensive rebounds. So if he's the guy taking the shot from out there, I love having a guy like Paul Reed being able to crash the glass and be capable of it. And to Paul's credit, like, he didn't play a lot last night, but I still thought he was effective in his minutes, that he hit those 2 circus shots that were absolutely ridiculous. And as a whole, like, he, again, didn't get a ton of run, but he still finished. I believe he had 4 points and 4 rebounds in the span of 6 minutes, I believe it was, pulling up his box score now. Yeah, or 11 minutes, my fault, but 5 rebounds and still had those 4 points. Doesn't look good when you look at the team as a whole, but I didn't think it was his fault that second unit fell apart whatsoever. So he talked his talk. Let him back it up a little more is kind of how I feel.
3 offensive rebounds, please, from Paul Reed in whatever 11 minutes. So that's kind of tough.
Yeah, I mean, the guy could play. He's productive. He's a productive guy, and that's why he continues to stay on rosters. Like, he's a productive guy. So, I fully expect him to he doesn't have anything to lose, right? He plays a role, right? He has certain expectations on him. He had a podcast microphone in front of him. He was talking a little too much. It happens. I get it.
I was just when Sean tweeted that, I saw it this morning. I said, damn, that's a good plan. Twin Towers. Oh, that sounds tough. We adapted kind of slow, but we slid through. Harris is stealing y'all money.
For real.
Peace, fellas. Nostalgic Nick, what's going on?
Nick.
Tobias Harris should play the whole game. I bet he. Big Taz, peace, my brother. Deuce. Shout out to Jalen Brunson shouting out Deuce McBride. That was the
Yes.
first 2 words out of his mouth last night.
Yep.
He saved us. That second quarter, Deuce came in there, say, "Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. No. We haven't said a word about this. Really, please. I'm sorry if you did." Bogey, Bogdanovich saved us. He reined this in. The bench. The bench.
It was an entire bench effort from Bogey, Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride. All of those guys were high plus minus guys. All came in and just contributed it heavily. Bogey shooting and just this is a guy that hasn't missed a postseason in his entire career, right? And he comes in and has that just calming effect. Like, yeah, moment's not too big for me. Right. And so I was happy to see that all 3 of those guys, the moment didn't seem big at all for all 3 of those guys. They came in off the bench and provided huge minutes for us, huge minutes.
The MSG is a 6-man. Nostalgic Nick, correct.
It's always been that way.
It was bananas. These guys are nuts. Nurse coached a really good game. They held down JB, but like I said, Knicks is more deep, and Dante didn't have a good game either. So 76ers and the coach came up with a good game plan, and they stuck to it. I just think they were effective. But that Tobias Harris thing that's itching at you, Sean. No, that's a no-go for game 2.
Yeah, it's tough, man. He feels like he's been here for 20 years, dude. Like, that guy, I can't believe him signing that contract and has played out the entirety of it. And there's all, like, we know the history, the Jimmy Butler stuff and where things went south. I do think Toby gets a worse rap than he deserves because, like, again, it's not his fault he didn't offer himself that contract. It's on the Sixers for basically writing a check that he couldn't cash with his play. But the bottom line is, like, we're past all that every decision should be based around who's giving this team the best chance to win, that it should not matter what dollar amount is attached to a guy's name or what you're trying to get your money's worth or anything like that. Roll with the guys that are doing it for you. And for stretches, Nurse has, but that's got to be the mindset from here on out. And even when I went back and rewatched a little bit today, like, the rebounding effort and the defensive stuff is just inexcusable. Like, that you just lose games that way, and that's exactly what happened.
That's why I'm disgusted you were smart enough to come up with the Paul Reed thing, man. I don't want to see no. Same lineup, please. Lowry has experience, definitely got to stop him. Yes, Beeman, yes, Fabian, start Mitch. Start Mitch, Flea, yes.
I mean, I enjoy Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench and providing a certain spark, changing whatever the direction of the game we're in. It is not like Hartenstein is not capable of being a solid defender, being a guy that rebounds, being a guy, I think he's probably the second best passer on our team, right? So he's shown us throughout the entire season that we can rely on him to be a starter. But this series might be Mitch, right? And so you may have to just continue with the lineup to continue the rhythm of how, Mitchell Robinson is gaining confidence and being comfortable with coming off the bench. But if it takes, Embiid comes out and has a 20-point first quarter, then we might need to we don't want to allow, you know what I'm saying? We don't want to allow him to get rolling. We get to game 3 and he, the crowd is rocking and Embiid starts the game with a 20-point first quarter. We might have to make an adjustment here and say, hey, all right, we might need to start Mitchell now. Hartenstein is still going to get minutes. We need him, but this might be Mitch's series.
I think it's the same thing with, to your point, Sean, like once you have Tobias Harris out there, a lot of things come from somebody with a big contract. RJ Barrett was a third pick for us. So, he has to start. Like, at some point, if we're talking about winning, nah, man. If this was Spoelstra, what would he do? Exactly. I think Spoelstra he's inserting Mitchell Robinson in there, throwing a different look at you. I just think you gotta put him in the game, man. That's my thing. And Deuce, you can spell also Mitchell Robinson 30 minutes, Hartenstein 17. That's the other thing. RJ Barrett used to play way more minutes with the second unit. Like, Tibbs would kind of tell us what he was really feeling with the action, not the words. I don't listen to what he says. I listen to what he does. And I think 30 minutes is telling. Start him, please. Get Embiid uncomfortable from the start. This series is Mitch and McBride. Now I start Zay. Don't want to get Mitch in early foul trouble. I'm bring forward who's Zay. I don't know who Zay is. Yes, Bohan.
Zay is Isaiah Hartenstein.
Okay, my bad. Embiid gonna get his just contest as best as you can. I agree, but I will give Mitch more minutes. He is. Mitch Rob Bigger gave Joel some problems, but we need iHeart, and he's going to have good games as well. Yeah, he's gonna have good games. That's the other thing. Flea and Sean, I don't want to look forward, of course, get too far ahead. But if we do advance, we got the Cavaliers. Mitchell Robinson starting against the Cavaliers. Are you kidding me? There's no before the season even starts. As soon as the game is over, Tibbs is in the press conference. Yeah, Mitchell Robinson starting next game if we're playing the Cavaliers. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, and that's just strategizing. I would think so. So yeah, our Heart's gonna play his minutes. I think Boston is a team where iHeart starts, in my opinion, with ease. iHeart will be fine. It's just jitters. I hope so. Yo, Bohan surprised me. I didn't even think he would step up like that. Plus, I thought that the coach Tibbs would have gone with Precious to throw more bodies at Embiid.
I was very surprised that I didn't see Precious play. But again, Tibbs starts shortening up his rotation sometimes. You know, you never know with his substitution patterns. So I was extremely surprised to not see Precious at all. Like,
did you hear anything from Nick Nurse after the game or even today, showing that were you about the game or about the approach to the series or just in general that stood out?
A couple things. Like, he was asked specifically about the Paul Reed and Joel Embiid lineup, and his reply was, yeah, I would definitely say that's a possibility. So it seems like he's open to something like that. He also seems pretty optimistic about Joel as far as like the dude's a warrior. As much as he wants to go out there, I'm going to let him. We're not shutting him down unless the doctors say otherwise in that case. So I think that was good to hear as well. And he did have kind of a funny reaction when asked about getting Tobias Harris going, where the reporter asked basically like, only 7 shots for Tobias. Is that something you need to get him more involved? And that was one of those where the action spoke louder to words, where Nurse's reaction was basically like, I mean, everyone needs to get involved. So like that. So I did kind of like all those 3 things coming out there. So positive stuff, but we'll see how the differences are made. I do expect there to be some real deal adjustments, which once again is one of my biggest reasons of our optimism with this Sixers team compared to past years with a guy like Doc Rivers, who you knew the game plan from start to finish in a series standpoint.
Yo, hold on. Is this another franchise that hates Doc Rivers? You guys hate him too?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Did you see how he said that? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No, hold on. Because the Celtics don't hate him. Unless they do because of the end of the tenure, maybe. But the Clippers fans, you know, Dom hates his guts.
Yeah.
Philadelphia now. And you think Milwaukee's about to probably set fire to that guy's office.
I'm mad about the Giannis injury because like that's just such a clear-cut excuse that he was handed. I genuinely believe like that the Pacers have at least are going to go 7 or push them in that series. I think straight up the Pacers definitely win, and I think that would have happened with or without Giannis. That I think that team's leaking oil. I mean, being below 500 with that roster or under Doc Rivers is just absurd stuff, and like the excuse making is so obnoxious by him. And dating back to last year, like I was covering the team from a written press standpoint, so I got to do all kind of the pregame and postgame interviews, and he's one of like the more obnoxious coaches I've ever seen to reporters. Just like such like, I know so much more than you is basically the reply to every question. It's like you have no idea how much basketball I know compared to you. And it's like, dude, like I'm asking you here, like I'm asking you a question. So definitely from like an individual standpoint, and then the results are the results that like the bottom line is the team didn't get the job done and underperformed under him. So yeah, not a Doc Rivers fan whatsoever.
Yo, Flea, I kind of like when he goes off like that though, but I understand what you're saying, because in real time it's like keeping the reels going wrong, bro. Like you cannot say certain things. You can put that to yourself, Doc. Glenn, as they call you in the LA streets, or the dime dropper streets. Knicks defense was absolutely stellar. The Knicks have no one-on-one matchup that can guard Embiid on paper, but they forced him into tough contested jump shots. Kowaiki Kokoro. I totally disagree with you, bro. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name wrong here. No, defense was not stellar. We were down by like 17, 19 points in the first quarter. What are you talking about? Elio Pagan, McBride and OG on Maxi and rotate Mitch with Hartenstein on Embiid. Brunson and Vincenzo will step up next game. By the way, if you guys want to chime in, jump right in and say whatever comment you want. He really did it, especially if something comes to mind and you have some revelation to make out here, Sean. I don't mind anything. By the way, I'm glad you're not intimidated by our shades. This is Knicks Rehab, and we're just suffering through so much. We're hiding the sags in our eyes, and we're just making sure we show up cool as hell, but we're showing up and doing our thing, baby.
There's a method. There's a method to the madness, Sean.
That's fair. I respect it. And yeah, no, I think the Sixers and the Knicks can relate quite a bit on that. We've lived through the down years to celebrate teams that actually have a fighting chance now.
It's been some down years, man.
He really did. Coach Tibbs recognized that McBride had the touch and kept him in the game. Oh yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't pull him. You know, like Tibbs tends to do when guys get it rolling, right? Like, you know, he allowed McBride to shine in that moment. He allowed McBride to continue up in his confidence because we're gonna need Deuce again. To get OG Anunoby, we parted ways with a guy that was, you know, a potential multiple time 6 man of the year, right? If you kept IQ in that role, I think at some point he would have won 6 man of the year multiple times. Just what he was doing off the bench, right? He's in a starting role now. God bless him. I hope he has an amazing career going forward. But now we have Deuce McBride, you know, with the expectations of the things that IQ brought to the table. And he's doing that well. It might even be shooting the ball better. Not might be, he is shooting the ball extremely better than, you know, what Emmanuel Quickly was doing. So I'm just high on Deuce McBride and what he's doing, and, you know, just the growth and maturity right before our eyes.
What I enjoy about the Knicks is that they collectively get it done, and with just the one main star, it's going to be interesting how for the Knicks can go with that kind of team, only the kind of team. Well, similar to the '90s Knicks, it was really Ewing. Everybody else, we never believed in them. Like one-on-one, create your own shot. That's why Ewing was the black hole. Like, yeah, give it to Pat. We don't trust you guys, even though, you know, if you look back on it, Oakley was amazing. Like to be able to shoot like that and be able to pass the way that he did, a rebound. He was tough in this area. He'd probably be like a stretch 5, stretch 4, whatever. But back then, that's how I felt like for us. Like, well, Ewing is the only guy that could really get it. And Starks was streaky as hell. You know, he drove me crazy. But same thing. Brunson is the head of the snake. And yeah, hopefully we do get it done. He's playing in the Garden, pure adrenaline. I think he's talking about Embiid with the adrenaline. Only team I can think of is Detroit Pistons, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton team. Sierra have any excuse. Is that French? Sierra have any. At least they haven't on the court. We haven't had Randall for a very long time. We've been through adversity and we're here fighting and winning. Very true. Can't argue with you.
My only pushback there, and I've seen a lot of that, like Joel Embiid and Julius Randle here, like not quite the same conversation. Like we're talking about an MVP player versus with Randle. With all due respect, there's plenty of Knicks fans who will argue that they look better without him. So like I've seen a lot of pushback with that, and I'm not saying that's the case. I think they could use Randle, but like just slightly different conversation for these two guys. I think.
I'd agree. I'd agree. I love
that. Was kind of he threw the mirror in my face. He was like, some Knicks fans would say they were better without Randle. Like, what can I say to that, please?
Yeah, because you've been saying that for years. Forget this year, for years.
I noticed Philly has no bench. Okay.
Yeah, it's a weakness. Buddy Hield, they got to get something out of, and he's one of those guys that, like, when he's not hitting shots, what does he really do? That there were a couple moments where he collapsed the D, had a nice little assist on that type of play, and I do think, to his credit, he's defended better lately than he really has throughout his career. I thought last night he was fine on that end of the floor, but he's there to be a three-point shooter and be a sniper, a guy that can extend the defense, and he really hasn't. We did give Cam Payne a little bit of a run last night. Only played 3 minutes, but he is the type of dude that can provide a spark. So I wouldn't mind giving him a little bit of an extended run. He's another dude that isn't afraid of the moment. He definitely has his weaknesses on the basketball floor, defensively especially. But I like the spark that he does bring. But yeah, to me, it's Buddy Hield's got to step up. Paul Reed, we'll see what the role looks like for him. But the bench is absolutely a weakness on this team.
The Sixers have no excuse. At least they haven't beat on the floor. Meanwhile, we've been. Oh yes, I'm sorry. We're going to need iHeart if we get to Boston. Of course, hell yeah, we need everybody. ESPN and FS1 will find an excuse for Embiid. Well, send it to us so that we can react to it and get some views off of it. Big task at hand. The Sixers were rattled by the crowd. Only the vets on Philly showed up. I didn't feel that way, man. I feel like I get maybe But nah, man, bro, I don't know what the hell people talking about. First quarter, I was scared to death. I can't lie to you.
Like Tyrese Maxey, probably the guy that I think would probably be at the biggest risk. That was the biggest game of his NBA career that he's probably played in.
He
didn't look
amazing.
afraid.
He
didn't look
amazing.
afraid.
So
yeah, I thought everybody kind of showed up. Yeah,
not a veteran.
Mm-mm.
Nah, man. Yes, they did. Mitch said the Garden crowd helped them propel and guarding Embiid. Mitch gained weight just to be able to guard Embiid. I don't like Mitchell Robinson weight on him. When he came back, it was a 20 pounds heavier. That I was disgusted with that. I think he runs funny enough already. Like Merrill said, he runs like a penguin. So we don't need more weight on you, bro. You need to be nimble. Like Mitchell he blocks 3-point shots. Mitchell's crazy, bro.
Well, I
was on fire.
Like I said, when I saw Mitch come back, he looked a little out of shape, right? Now, is that muscle that he needed to put on? Maybe. Can he bang down there with some of the bigger bigs now? Cool. I'm okay with that. But I don't want it to take him away from, him being one of the best rim runners in the game. One of the best guys from box to box. If you put Mitch in a race with some bigs from box to box, he might be 1, 2, or 3 fastest from box to block. So, I don't want the fact that he's slightly out of shape to take away from, like you said, Fabian, his nimbleness and his ability to be so versatile on the defensive end.
Why when any player or team, they start talking about doing things, copying other people because they exist, is like, bro, you have your own strengths. That's not what you're an offensive rebounding machine. What you're gonna start doing? Anytime, what we always talking about, Flea. This guy's shooting 3-pointers in the summertime for what reason? We're gonna do a pick and pop.
Every time I see summertime propaganda videos from Mitchell Robinson putting the ball between his legs and shooting fadeaway threes, I want to throw my phone away. It pisses me off so bad to see those. God bless you for working on your game, but Jesus Christ, we don't need you to do. You will never have to do that in your career, ever. Nowhere in the NBA, nowhere in the world. You go overseas, they're not going to ask you to do that. So.
Sorry, we lived through the Ben Simmons shirtless summertime workout video, so we want to talk about frustrating there, man.
Yo,
it's bad. It was Ben Simmons. Those were bad, Sean.
Who else is it? Who's the king of the summertime flicks? Is Hoodie Mello is the logo. He's the king of all that.
See, you see what you do.
Look, Sean. He's got these
every time. I'm gonna chill today.
Because we got a guest.
Yeah, but you do it every time.
But am I wrong or right? Hoodie Mello?
I loved Hoodie. I loved Hoodie Mello.
Hold on. I love Hoodie Mello. It's a dope.
Hoodie Mello.
Where the hell were you at in the regular season? Anyway, Ben Simmons, crazy. Crazy. Now, Ben Simmons, I forgot about Ben thinking he shoots jump shots. Ben Simmons, the scamming himself in the summertime.
He already posted the videos of him working out already this summer. It's like, dude, some teams are still playing, man. This is a new record for this offseason workout stuff.
The next season is ending, and this guy's shooting 3. Get out of here, Ben Simmons. Coach Tibbs went with OG guarding Maxey ASAP. Don't love it. Don't like a nostalgic nigga. I don't know what you were thinking out there. That was crazy. He looked exhausted. He looked crazy chasing him across the court. I was so disgusted. Anyway, Isaiah reminds me of Joakim Noah. Poor man's Joakim Noah. All right. I think Joakim had a better jumper.
I love Joakim.
It's just as nasty though, Flea. Exactly. Keep Deuce on Maxey. Yep. Deuce is the X factor of this series. OG can help Mitch in the paint. Yep. I agree. Deuce can cover Maxey. He should see big minutes in this series. Good afternoon. Embiid bullied Ihart for about 18 minutes. I didn't want to use those words, Flea.
Nah, he looked bad. He's like I said, this might not be his series.
Those first 2 and 1s got me fired up. When I saw that look in Joel's eye, I was like, okay.
We might be in for a long series because it's gonna be tough for Ihart to defend him. And he did well against him during the season. That's why I was a little encouraged, right? Every time, he did, bro. Every time I saw him, not every time because Joel only played against us one time this season during the regular season. So, but the one time that we did, we thumped y'all by like 40 in Philly, I think. And so, we look, Ihart looked good against him that time. But again, this is the playoffs. This is an MVP level player. This is a 2-time scoring leader. This is, you know, one of the best bigs of all time. So I think, yeah, given
that game wasn't a big Joel Embiid game or on Maxey, and Brunson started off real slow. Randall had a bad game. That was the Deuce McBride coming out party for this season. That game right in particular. So I forgot to even review that when we spoke before the series, because I knew like something about playing Philly. I don't know. Deuce just is able to, you know, run around because he's not the primary target. So hopefully you guys don't make him the primary target, because he's, oh my God, just love his jumper. Dante had the jitters first game for playing with us, our crowd. He has a descending contract. I think he's talking about Deuce, right?
Yeah.
So is Mitchell Robinson, if I'm not mistaken. It's a descending contract. Descending extension is a joke. Deuce was always a better team player than IQ, the black hole stats point guard. I wouldn't say that.
I like IQ.
I like IQ a lot.
Yeah, IQ will get better every year, bro. Like, come on, man. Chill out. I doubt he plays and gets ready for game 3 back in Philly. Oh yeah, Embiid. What do you think about that, Sean? Let him rest, come back game 3 in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, whatever. Like, it depends how much he re-injured it or what the specific situation is. I'm kind of more of the mindset of he's just gonna leave everything out there as much as he can, play every single night if he can. So unless there's something medically that like is really hampering him, I do fully expect him to be out there. I think I would give it like straight up 90% chance that he does play tomorrow. I expect to see him on the floor.
I want all our players back. Yes, Oubre did. Sean is right. I believe that Brunson will play better, but the 76ers clearly have a game plan on Brunson, so the other pieces have to step up. Brunson will rebound guaranteed. Oh, okay. Deuce shot 5 of 7 from 3 last night. That is not normal. I disagree with that. The hell you been watching? Deuce McBride was shooting 40-45%. Then he got tired. Then he played like 8 straight games with 40+ minutes. Sherwin, what we talking about? What you been watching, Sherwin? Josh M. effing Hart. Correct. I bet you he will. He understands that teams will leave him open. Maxey, even when he's not open, bro. Do you not see that jump shot? The form, Flea? Can I stress that enough?
Crazy. Listen, that last 3-pointer was crazy last night.
Listen, I love Deuce. I love Deuce, man. He's
Maxey, Lowry were kind of a problem. Produce McBride. Ooh.
I like that.
I like that.
I like that.
Kelly, woo, that boy is trash. All in all, I do not see the 76ers win this series. 55 rebounds and 42 points off of the bench. How will the 76ers overcome that?
Locking and rebound. Those are very correlated. That a lot of those like the bench points were on second chance opportunities that were kick out 3-pointers, and like you just stuff a lot of offense, a lot of potential for this Knicks team. You just got to lock in and rebound effort. Rebounding, like as much as guys do have skill, a guy like Mitchell Robinson, to an extent, rebounding is an effort statistic. It's like I just need more out of you to commit to going up, getting that basketball, locking up, boxing out the way you're supposed to, man up, be physical, and go get a board. Should really be the speech here.
Sean sounds like me.
He does.
Like especially when it comes to rebounding. Like
they have to choose either Kelly use all his energy to guard Brunson so he really can't score. They're not going one-on-one with Brunson. They're getting the ball out of his hands. It's not like Philly where you double up Maxey and they get the ball out of his hands. We got two studs over there. Nah, they're not going one-on-one with Brunson. That would be crazy. If you see that, Sean, what happened? The TV's broken at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I thought there were moments where it occurred, and I do, to Kelly's credit, think he held up well. I know we talked about this going in, but he is a guy who does well defending smaller guards, where he uses his length, his wingspan to kind of just play with the guy a little, where he is poking at the ball. He's kind of trying to wrap around and just kind of getting his head a little bit. So I do think Oubre is the call when you do go one-on-one. I also was surprised we didn't get any Kyle Lowry on Jalen Brunson last night as really the primary defender. I thought that was going to be a look that they threw at him, just as not in a way that I think is going to be a lockdown defender, but just to annoy him, be a pest, get in his grill. That's what Kyle Lowry does best. So I would expect that to come out at some point this series too.
Especially the Villanova connection, try to say something that we don't know about some girl they messed with back in Philadelphia. Brunson will adjust next game. 30 points. Watch. He's too busy on the D, bro. Kelly spending all that energy covering JB. Campaign might bring some agility to your lineup. Didn't Brunson start to find more of his rhythm towards the end? Yeah.
He looked better. He took better shots. He took better shots.
The whole team did, right? Once Brunson makes the adjustments, it will be a good night for the 76ers. The Sixers played their best game against us, and they can't do better than that.
I don't agree with that.
I agree with that because I think Embiid's not going to look better than that. That first half, I think that's the best first half for the rest of the series. And it's just us unfortunate. I hate that it's that way, but I just that blood leaking out off of his knee like that is sad. But that's the reality of things.
Yeah, it's not great. I still think that there's other guys that like Embiid had a pretty good game last night. Maxey had a really good game. Outside of that, like there wasn't really a guy. Lowry also played very well, but like there's just going to be guys that I think they get more out of. The Kelly Oubre's, the Tobias Harris, the Nico Batum, Buddy Hield. These are all guys that I think will have their flashes that I do think change things. So I think the floor of the Sixers team is a little bit higher than a lot of people give credit, that they're going to compete. They're going to be in the mix from start to finish in every one of these games. And it only takes a couple breaks to kind of come up and get the result you want.
I believe Jay Hart and Deuce should bring the rock up. You want Josh Hart? Ooh, nostalgic. He's trolling me, Flea. He wants Josh Hart. JB head of the snake. This is why we shot only 38%. 76 had a good game plan. Hell yeah. Come on, man. 38% is crazy. I think it's 39%. Brunson burns a lot of energy bringing up the ball. I mean, he's a point guard, bro. Deuce. Randall contributed to last night's game by not playing. Damn. All right, Flea, look. Come on. I wouldn't say something like that. That's wild.
That's wild.
Sox is crazy.
We found a way to drag Julius.
Sox and Crystal, damn, no love for Randall. Yeah, thank you, Big Task. We adapted slow. He's great during the regular season, but not the playoffs. Yo, that's wild. Yeah, he did. That was wild. New York Knicks will make you jump, strike while the iron is hot. Peace to the cipher. Congrats on the win. Thank you, Carla. Big harmony in the building. He couldn't help himself. It's the city energy. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's it.
We have creatures. Guys are playing their role. Dudes shot 15 shots a game. His mid-range would be a problem. After this ring, we're going to run it back with Julius. After that, I don't want to hear nothing about Julius.
Relax, everybody. Relax.
Yeah, slow down.
Produce McBride. The bench came through clutch. Bogey and Brunson got to do pick and pops. I swear to God, Flea, you're going to tell me I'm wrong or whatever. But when Randall was here and they created that damn pick and pop with Evan Fournier, it was like unstoppable. I want to see that with somebody nobody could do that with Bogey.
Stop talking to me about Evan Fournier, please.
The Frenchman himself. I'm sorry. I figured Bohan would eventually settle in. He's a vet with playoff experience. Yep. No save from second half. I can guard Embiid. The numbers say differently, brother.
Embiid was dragging him.
Yeah, come on, man. Mitch can finish. I'm fine with whatever. I just smell blood in the water. Mitch got chippy with Embiid. He did. We have the potential to sweep them. They're on minutes restriction. He started at the beginning. It's not going good for Doc at all. Coach should have let Bogey stay in. Knicks in 4. Nah, I'm fine with the Bogey minutes, right?
I am too.
Knicks in 4. Randall and McBride on the second unit. What? I was sweating the first quarter, bro. Knicks in 4. Forget about the Philly cheesesteak and let's get that chopped cheese without adobo. Oh, Somebody's uptown. Gotta get mad like Mitch did and demand respect. Like IQ, that's blasphemy. Deuce is a sniper. Buddy Hield can get active. He's a streaky. He's crazy.
Yeah,
Hield is nuts.
can.
That's the last of it. Thank you for joining us. Big Sean in the building. Big Sean Barnard.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys for having me. And we got to buckle up. We still got a series to play. I'm not waving the white flag yet.
We got a series, man. Thanks, Sean, for tapping in with us, man.
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, appreciate you fellas. And let me know if you want to chop it up again. But yeah, thanks.
Yeah, if you can join us after, probably do a game 2 reaction.
Okay.
Or anything else we want to ask you about beforehand. So get familiar with them, guys. That's Sean Barnard. We're gonna call him Big Sean in these parts.
Big Sean.
Thank you, Beeman Boy 81. Fabian Perspective. Are we live?
Big Flea.
We out of here. AllBall TV. They scared, but I'm not. They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.